Okay, everyone, welcome to the epilogue slash finale of my retro react to Heavy Rain from 2010. What we're going to do now, in the credits of the game, they actually show a few like alternate scenes. I'm sure as the credits are rolling, I, in 2010, give my thoughts. There's a separate video. That's where I did my recap reactions, just like I did as like a day one ending, day two ending. So there's a third one coming up. We're going to watch that. Then I'm going to give you my modern thoughts about the game as well as this playthrough. And then we'll talk about that big plot hole that's never addressed in the game. Here we go. Showing all the alternate things that could have happened that didn't happen in my playthrough. This is pretty cool. They're going to show alternate scenes. Yep, things you didn't see. Yeah, this didn't happen. He never got a mannequin head, I don't think. Uh-oh. In this one, he silently takes the guy out. He doesn't have to fight the guy at all. He takes him out with the bottle. Bonk him on the head. What happens here that I didn't do? I stopped him. If you don't stop him, what happens? You can fucking beat the shit out of him. What the hell didn't I do here? Nothing. Okay, I don't know. No, I did this one. I cut my finger. I guess it's just showing random stuff, random possibilities. Some of them you did, some of them you didn't. Is this fight against Mad Dog? Yeah, it is. Oh, here she is killing the doc. Bitch. Whoa. You just slide. Whoop, whoop. I remember I jumped. He jumps here too, huh? Oh yeah, here we go. Show some titty. Come on, baby. Not paying attention because I'm going to say I'd love to be paying attention. I can't. There's idiots in the chat trying to troll and get my attention right now, and they are. I'm banning multiple people. Sorry, I have to do that. Obviously, I would not like to be distracted now, but, you know, idiots have to show up at the end of the stream to try to ruin it for everybody. I received a $1 tip. We want to see you react to your alternate playthrough. We are not going to do that anytime soon. I mean, I just spent 6 weeks reacting to this. Maybe that's something we can do way down the line, but I am not interested in doing more Heavy Rain. Honestly, I think like what would be more interesting is the DLC, the Taxidermist. That's one of the most hilarious things I've ever done in history. The Taxidermist is just funny as shit because of the awesome stuff that's in it. But we're not going to do it now because we just did 6 weeks of Heavy Rain. Maybe, like I said, maybe later the year, maybe next year. I don't really want to do any more Heavy Rain right now. Okay. Okay. Now can I focus on this again? Thank you. Here we go. Fuck you. What a shame that most of the best fights were really the killer, you know? Yeah, it's true. It was always Scott Shelby was the best fights, and he was the killer all along. Scumbag. Credits, 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 and more credits with the raining of the credits. Credits, credits. Dun dun, dun dun, dun dun, dun dun. Great music. What a soundtrack, right? What an epic soundtrack to fit the game. The soundtrack is so good, so suspenseful. Love it. Astronaut says, appreciate the playthrough and all the small tidbits you add throughout, explaining things like the golden watch and the plot hole of the future content. Yeah, you'll see. No problem, man. That's what I'm here for. That's what a good react should be, honestly. Exactly. It's like anxiety-inducing soundtrack. I agree. It's so suspenseful, this soundtrack. Right? Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. So I don't really say anything here, huh? We just listen to the music. Yeah, it sounds like we just listen to the music till the end. Seriously, the music makes the game. Imagine if the soundtrack sucked, but the music makes the game so much more tense and suspenseful. It really does. Is this my favorite Quantic Dream game? Yeah, that's a tough question. I definitely think it's between this or Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human obviously is a much better game where you have so many more choices and there's so much more going on. But this is kind of the game that got me into the almost like choose your own adventure genre of game. It really is the first one that I was so interested in.
Yeah, they did use a lot of music in this game, that's true.
Dun, dun, dun,
In-game
dun,
video
dun, dun,
cartoons
dun.
courtesy of Les Gobelins. What the fuck is Les Gobelins? Here we go. Here come all the people who take credit but did absolutely nothing in the making of this fucking game. Sony Europe. Cocksuckers.
What the? Oh, this is Sony Europe. Actually, it was French studio, Quantic Dream, that made it, so Sony Europe probably were the people who worked with them to get the game published, right?
Can I skip this shit? I can't. Hey, look, there's the testers that couldn't fucking catch the 100 game bugs. Awesome.
What do you mean? They intended for the sound to sound like... That was intentional. Wow, I continued...
I'm just wondering if there's anything after the credits at all.
I continued watching the credits? Oh, you really want to see me do this? I think this is just me listening to the credits, is it? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Now the credits are done. Let's see if I had something to say.
It's on the fucking screen because none of these people deserve credit.
What? None of these people deserve credit.
Thank you. Someone who actually made the game says something. Oh my god. To Quentin and Ulysse, without whom life wouldn't be life. Aw, one guy snuck a little personal message in there. How touching. I guess that's it. When you continue, it goes to the epilogue. Ah. Did I unlock any other extras?
Probably not.
No, I think I unlocked all the extras. Making of the music. Now, there's probably a lot more for the different scenarios that you do. What the fuck's in the online shop? No, why would I want to leave the game? Sure, I want to leave the game. That's a good idea. Interactive drama.
Alright, I think I just basically fuck around with the menus. Let's see here.
Continue bring you? Does it just take you to the end? This might be the first game where if you load it at a continue at the end, it actually just brings you to the ending of the game. I think that's what it's going to do.
Yeah. Alright, so here's the thing. I didn't give my final thoughts in this video because I did another one, so let's watch the next one. Because I'm getting tired of watching
Alright, so I just completed Heavy Rain. My thoughts, first of all...
Even my final thoughts had almost 100,000 views. How crazy is that? Holy shit.
Who the killer was, I was right. Almost all along through the whole game, I was right. I followed the clues, you know, and then this last batch of clues, it was like unforgivable. There's no way you could tell that it wasn't Scott Shelby.
Oh my god. Now, that's fucked up. I totally didn't say, spoiler alert, and then the first, like, line in this video is like, so this killer is Scott Shelby. Can you imagine if someone just wanted to hear my final thoughts and immediately I spoil the twist? Wow, that was bad. Alright, that's pretty bad. Pretty darn bad. Oops. Well, sorry about that, anyone who I spoiled 14 years ago. Oopsie.
Killing Paco looked just like his build. You know, everything just fit, so... That's cool, I like that because, you know, in the reviews, like I said at the very beginning of this, they said in the reviews, if you follow the clues, you should be able to figure it out, and I was actually able to figure it out, so that's pretty cool. But there are some plot holes, like, how the fuck did he kill Manfred? Because there was, on screen, they never showed him leaving the room. We always showed him standing right there next to Lauren, and then all of a sudden, oh, Manfred's dead. What the fuck?
That's
he
a
never
huge
left the
plot
room, so how
hole.
did he do that? I'm sure there's a couple other plot holes in there too, but besides, you know, I'm not really going to nitpick.
There is one, and we'll talk about it as soon as I'm done talking here. I'll talk about that plot hole to adjourn this Retro React.
My final verdict is I really like this game, and yes, there are some game bugs. Like you saw, a lot of audio bugs, which I think are due because this game uses DTS audio, which is, like I said in one of my videos, it's a higher quality audio. It's a lot larger file size, so to compress it and to run it through your speakers probably takes a lot more to do. And probably there's more potential for fuck-ups, as you saw, which is what happened a lot in the game. And also, there were a couple game bugs with controls when I was in that corridor with the glass. I couldn't turn left and right. I was fucking doing it, and nothing would happen. Same thing when I was trying to cross the street when Miriam, I still don't remember her fucking name.
I don't remember her name, Marion?
Myrtlefuck was helping Ethan across the street, and, you know, because he was all fucked up, I couldn't turn left and right. I was like, literally, just think of it this way. In any other game, you're running. And when you're running, you push left or right to change direction while you're running. But not in this game. Oh no, we're going to reinvent the fucking rules of control. You have to hold the button, and when you want to turn, let go of the run button, turn slowly to the right like you're fucking playing Resident Evil 1 and then push the walk button again. It doesn't make any sense. So that's why I had to redo that part a couple times, because the controls kind of sucked a couple places. And then as you saw, there was that one bugged part in the nightclub where I had to reload the thing 4 times and restart my PlayStation 3 to get it to work. But it's nothing game-breaking.
By the way, you notice I still have post-nasal drip 14 years ago. I still snorted. The thing was back then, it was on this camera that didn't pick it up that well. So people didn't really hear it that much or notice it. Today, with my modern setup, people manage to notice it a lot more. Although, since in the last few weeks, I've now put on these audio filters on my mic, no one's really complaining anymore. So I guess that's a good thing that finally I improved it all these years later.
To restart, which is excellent. Autosaves, excellent. I liked how everything tied in. Even the endings, the unique endings that you get for the things that you've done in the game are awesome. I like that. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to get this game because it's not a game, it's just a movie with a bunch of quick time events. Well, I'm sorry, but for me, I think that a game, the essence of a game is something that's interactive and entertaining. This is the difference between a movie and a game, is that a movie is not interactive at all. It's entertaining, it's a story, but it's not interactive. A game is interactive, and therefore I really like this. I definitely say this is a game, especially because depending on the choices you make, you completely change the outcomes, so you can replay it again and get a different outcome. It's a game. It's so interactive. That's the core of what this is. Obviously, you know, a lot of people say I hate QuickTime events. I'm going to be honest with you, I do hate QuickTime events. I play games like God of War. I play games like, one of the most viewed videos ever on my channel is from Spider-Man Web of Shadows from like...
Still to this day, I think it might be one of my most viewed videos I've ever made, if not the most viewed. It's got several million views on the DarksydePhil channel.
Years ago. I played the game mostly when I was fucking drunk out of my mind because it was one of the first video series I ever put on YouTube and I was just fucking around. But you'll see if I do the final boss sequence of that game, it's cheap as hell. Every time there's a quick time event, you're like, oh, press it, doesn't count. You're like, what do you mean doesn't count? How fast do I have to fucking press these buttons? At least in Heavy Rain, it gives you some leniency. It understands you're probably not a fucking pro at quick time events. You haven't been doing it your whole life. You're sitting there practicing to memorize the motions. It gives you some leniency in your motions. And even if you do fuck up a couple times, it doesn't just kill you instantly. You still have a chance to come back if you get the next couple, you know, correct. So that's what I really like about the game. The plot is one of the best plots I've ever had in a game. It was so realistic, like hyper-realistic. The graphics, everything, the atmosphere, the music was amazing. The score really fit in a dramatic type of, you know, epic mystery thriller, crime drama style movie. Really enjoyed the music. I have to say, unless something really like fucking earth-shattering happens this year, this game has to be in my top 10 best games of the year, and it's probably going to make top 5, if not top 3. I don't know what's going to top this.
I don't remember if a game beat this for Game of the Year. Did anything? I don't remember that year. 2010 was a good year for games, but I can't remember. No, I think Red Dead was my Game of the Year. Red Dead Redemption, I believe, was my Game of the Year, and I think this was like number 2 or number 3, if I remember correctly.
Now, don't get me wrong, there might be something that totally blows me out of the water later this year. There's a lot of new things that are being announced, like Dead Space 2 and other stuff that are going to be probably crammed in for the end of the year. Who knows what's actually going to be released this year. But right now, this game is a front runner. In fact, this game, I'm going to admit right now, the games I played this year, this is my favorite game so far. So, if you've been on the fence about this, I'm going to tell you right now, I think this game is worth a buy. Because I only played it once, and it was, what, 8 to 10 hours of gameplay there? And I'm interested in maybe playing it again. Am I going to necessarily play it on YouTube again? Probably not, because it would take too fucking long, as you know. And there's a lot of other games coming out that I want to get to. But this is the kind of game I'm going to hang on to it. There's DLC coming out. Everyone's saying that the DLC card that I showed you in the unboxing video isn't good till March 4th. It was supposed to be good on launch day, but they pushed it back a couple weeks. I'm definitely going to be checking that out on March 4th. So, undoubtedly, you know, this is a game worth buying, worth playing over and over. It's unique in what it is. You know, everyone would seem to be entertained just by watching me play it. Well, imagine when you play it, how much fun you'll have trying out different options and things. And some of the stuff in there is pretty funny, too. Some of the fight scenes, the choreographed, you know, like he picks up a big fucking lead pipe and just whacks him in the face, or when Miriam grabs the fucking drill and drills the doctor's heart. It's awesome. That's fucking awesome.
Miriam.
It's just like a really nicely choreographed
What game did I play?
So that's it. I really like Heavy Rain. I thought it was a really good game. I thought it was the perfect length. It's not too long where it drags on so fucking far that, you know, you get bored and you really don't care anymore. At the same time, it has enough twists. I'd say probably around the middle of the game is some of the best parts because you really start to see clues flying left and right, and you can't, oh man, who could it be? Who could the killer be? In fact, at the end there's a little teaser that there might be a sequel. I would love for there to be a sequel. I would definitely buy that game too.
What an ultimate letdown that not only was there not a sequel, there were no DLCs, that basically all plans for any future content tied to the game were scrapped for them to do the stupid PS Move version as demanded by the publisher, Sony, and then they moved on to their next game. Not to say that their next game wasn't good, because Beyond Two Souls is a very good game. Detroit Become Human is an outstanding game, but still, it's a disappointment for someone who loved this game so much. Good news is, by playing Heavy Rain, I was inspired to play other similar style of games. Like, for example, this is the game that convinced me I'm going to try the Walking Dead, Telltale series. And then I became a huge fan of the Telltale series games and played a ton of them back in the day. Some of my most old playthroughs that got tons of attention on YouTube, before the world got oversaturated with that style of game. So pretty cool that it led to that. At the same time, sad that Heavy Rain never really got its due after this. It should have had way more content and never got any of it.
As long as they follow suit with it's the same kind of a thing. It's more about the story and a little bit of gameplay mixed in rather than all about the gameplay, which most of these games are these days. It's just all gameplay and a little crappy story on the side. This game was so focused on the story, it was like watching an excellent movie or reading a long crime drama book, but you also had interaction in it, which I think was perfect, a perfect mix. So for me, this game is going to get a really high score. I'm not going to give it an official score. I don't know if I'll ever, give it an official score because it's a good game. As you know, usually I only do hateful truths on games that I don't like or games that aren't apparently good or people around.
Yeah, this was, again, 2010, totally different. I hadn't turned the Hateful Truth into a full-on review series. I only used it to basically review kind of crappy games. So, yeah, pretty different from what it eventually became. Slee just did a $5 super chat. Says, your Walking Dead playthrough is my all-time favorite. I watched it so many times. I still do a few times a year. That could be a great one for a throwback playthrough. We didn't even think of that, did we? Or we could do that. We could definitely do the Walking Dead Telltale series as one of the ones that we watch back and react to. However, I'll be honest, I would prefer not to do one of that style of game again. We just did Heavy Rain for 6 weeks. Maybe that's one for later this year, right? I'd be totally down to do a react to that playthrough with you guys later this year if you're interested. Just not right now because we just did Heavy Rain. Okay? Thank you, Slee.
This game, I'm sold. This game's amazing. So, very good game. I recommend everyone goes out and tries it. If you're watching this video the week of release of the game, which I'm sure a lot of people are, just to let you know, the next game I'll be playing is Battlefield Bad Company 2. It's going to start on...
This has nothing to do with anything now, so... Okay, so what I'd like to do real fast, since we're about to adjourn, we pretty much said everything. One thing I want to do... I didn't have this set up, my bad. I forgot to close this. I wanted to go full screen for a second here, and I don't have it set up. I just want to talk about now, having done this in 2024, my thoughts about the game, and my thoughts about my particular playthrough of the game, and why I feel like it was such a popular playthrough, and so many people learned about me from that playthrough. And I want to talk about the plot hole, okay? You know what? We want to talk about the plot hole now. So here's the plot hole that's never resolved. At the beginning of the game, when Ethan loses Sean, it's because he has a blackout, right? When he awakens from his blackout, he's in the middle of a street, and he has an origami figure in his hand, okay? Previously in the game, there was another blackout, remember, earlier on? So if you don't remember those blackouts, it's because they just stopped happening in the middle of the game, and you might say, why did that happen? What were the blackouts? Why did they stop happening? Okay? Because get this, the plot was changed during the development of the game. Okay? For those who don't know, Quantic Dream's game previous to Heavy Rain was called either Indigo Prophecy or Fahrenheit, dependent on where you were located. Okay? And that game had tons of supernatural elements and ties to not only psychic abilities, but aliens and all kinds of crazy stuff. And when they made this one, they actually wanted that to be a plot line of the game. All right. Now, I thought it was a cop-out because it's like, if they never explained the blackouts, that's stupid because now you don't understand why he had them. And that was the reason why you actually expected Ethan to be the killer in the game, right? And then they just forgot about that plot. Well, they didn't forget about it. Here's the original plot. When Ethan is at the mall scene at the beginning of the game, and when he has that traumatic experience and Jason is killed accidentally by that car strike, basically what happens is he looks at Scott Shelby, and somehow, I don't know how, they get a psychic connection at that moment of like ultimate pain for Ethan. So what ends up happening is, as Scott Shelby is murdering children, Ethan has a blackout, and then he awakens at the construction site where Shelby's brother, John Shepard, died. That when he wakes up in the street, right next to him is the construction site where Shelby's brother died in the flashback. So basically, he has a psychic connection to Shelby, and he's inadvertently in this like dream state. He's walking around wandering to like Shelby's origins of why he murders kids. Okay? There's even a whole dream sequence that they actually created where he's underwater and he's swimming in like this psychic world, and he's piecing together clues of who the origami killer is, and the whole sequence was cut from the game. So literally it's never explained why he has the blackouts in the game, but that was the real reason. So it was supposed to be like he uses clues in the game to figure out who the killer is through his psychic connection with the killer, but that was removed from the game entirely. Honestly, I actually think the game is better without that, because I like it being more of like a murder mystery rather than any supernatural twist. But at the same time, the fact that they drop the blackouts entirely and never explain them, how does Ethan get origami in his hand? It doesn't make sense. And that's a big plot hole that I wish that they had resolved for the final game. But for the most part, this game, I would say if you've never played this game before and you're playing it for the very first time, it still rings true as a great game, right? The plot itself is very, very well written. I like the fact that it keeps you guessing, and there's all these red herrings, right? First, you think it could be Ethan. Then you think maybe it's Blake, right? Yes, you suspect Shelby during the course of the game, but there's a lot of other twists that make you think maybe it's not him, like the Manfred twist, right? So I absolutely love the fact that the game keeps you guessing and the plot is that well written. I also like, you saw the emotion I had at that point. Being a YouTuber for just under a year and a half, I hadn't found any games that had made me feel that kind of emotion as of yet. I really didn't have emotional ties to the games. I was more disconnected, just dicking around with them. And this game makes you feel you want to save Sean. And if he dies, you're like, whoa. And I reloaded just to find out, oh, he actually would have lived anyway, right? So, you know, it really tugged at my heartstrings. Now, today, if you play the game, it's rough around the edges. You can see the animations aren't as good. The voice acting, some of these actors are obviously French. They don't pronounce the word, the origami, right? Like, what the hell? They don't know how to pronounce the goddamn word of the main killer. It's like, what the heck? There's game bugs. I'm sure today they fixed that. By the way, there's a remastered version that was put out on PS4 many years later, and I actually did a run in that version as well on DSP Gaming. And that version probably fixes the bugs. You probably don't have the audio bugs. You probably don't have the club glitch and all of that. But I still think to this day that the game stands up. If you've never played this game before and you haven't experienced that plot, I think that that's an excellent game. I really do. You should check it out. But what about the playthrough? Does the playthrough still resonate today? Well, obviously the commentary is dated, right? I mean, let's be honest here. Some of that commentary is so cringe. Over-the-top sexual comments. Some really, really dark comments in regards to kids and things like that. And that kind of commentary today, so many people are so critical of everything and the cancel culture vibes of everything, correct? That they basically wouldn't ever let you do that commentary today, right? And now that we're doing these retro reacts, and we can still... The fact is, we can still watch this and we can laugh at it and say, okay, it was a different time. Back then, I received absolutely no hateful comments. No criticism. Everyone loved the playthrough. Like I said, that's one of my most watched playthroughs of all time. Every part has 100,000 or more views. That one got me known. People started saying, wow, now we know who DarksydePhil is. We never really knew it. Now we saw the playthrough. We laughed our asses off. I didn't get a mob of people outside my house with pitchforks and torches trying to lynch me for fucking playing that game and saying that stuff. No one cared. Everyone was like, oh, that's funny, right? Today, you can't say any of that stuff or do anything like that. It's just a completely different world, right? So as long as you watch that playthrough, understanding that, number one, the commentary is not serious. That is not representative of my real thoughts. I was just trying to be over-the-top entertaining and edgy. Think South Park. Think, like I said a lot of the times back then, Howard Stern, right? That real kind of edgy humor was what I was going for, and it worked back then. Today, it probably wouldn't ever work again. I mean, God, I even said, remember the joke I made 2 years ago during the As Dusk Falls playthrough, it was a joke about child trafficking. I made the same joke in the Heavy Rain playthrough 14 years earlier, and no one cared. I do the joke now, and now everyone, oh, that's a horrible joke about children, and it's racist too, and it wasn't racist. You can't do it anymore. You just can't make those kind of jokes. People don't get it. They just freaking, you kick your ass for it. You know what I'm saying? The other thing is, which a lot of people don't realize, this playthrough inspired a lot of people. PewDiePie, all right, basically was referencing me in his playthrough of Heavy Rain. He was saying that that Blake looks like me. So you know that he probably watched my original playthrough of the game and then was inspired to play the game himself. And this was before he was wildly popular. At the time, you know, in 2010, he wasn't. You know, there's all these different references. People have seen that playthrough over the years, and wow, it resonated and it inspired me to do something, which is really cool. You know, back then, I didn't make any money doing YouTube. I made no money on that playthrough at all. None of those videos were monetized. That was just a hobby for me, just to mess around. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think that it would ever amount to anything, that it would inspire people to do video game content on YouTube or anything like that. I didn't give a crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just messing around, having a good time, and that was the spirit of my videos back then. I think the playthrough is still entertaining as long as you watch it with the reference. It's 14 years old, and that commentary doesn't fly today, you know, and understand, I'm not insulting anyone. I'm not trying to be insensitive with that commentary. It was just generalized commentary that was trying to basically be edgy on purpose. That's what people wanted back then. You know, I realized that a lot of the people who watch gaming content were teens. So there was a teen audience to watch that playthrough. A lot of people have told me they were teenagers or younger adults when they watched that playthrough. So that's what they wanted. They didn't want a boring old man's commentary on a game like that. They wanted to see the over-the-top stuff. So I still think the playthrough is good. I mean, I laughed my ass off with you guys. I also cringed with you guys, right? So I really enjoyed this project. But keep in mind, this is the very first time we've ever done a retro replay together. I hope you've enjoyed this project. And if you did, please let me know. Leave some comments on these videos and let me know what you think about it. And let me know ideas of the future. Right now, we have people voting on another one, whatever the next game will be. I think tonight we got some good ideas. Like, for example, maybe eventually we'll do the Walking Dead games and stuff like that. I just don't want to do too much samey. Because if you're watching this right now, you're like, man, I hope he does the DLC. Man, I hope that he does his alternate choices. I hear you, but I don't want to immediately do the same kind of content. It just gets tired doing the same content every week. I want to do something different next week, see? But anyway, thank you all. I want to say thank you to the live audience. You guys were absolutely awesome these past 6 weeks, having these fun conversations, the interactions. You guys supported the heck out of the channel during this time for this playthrough. This is the most viewed playthrough I'm doing on the channel, so I really appreciate those who stuck around to watch this playthrough over time. And for, again, watching on demand, you guys are awesome too. Like the on-demand video, the comments and everything have been good. So thank you all for that. And I hope sincerely to see you again for another Retro React here on DSP Throwback. But for now, it is time to say goodbye to Heavy Rain. Say thank you to Quantic Dream for the game that inspired me to make so much more content because it was so riveting and actually made me feel for the characters. Thank you all for all of your attention, for all of your support, and for all of the love and views over these years. Really, if it's not for you guys, I wouldn't be here 14 years later able to reminisce about my past like this. So thank you all so very much. Here's to another awesome 15 plus years of content creation. Whether it's all gameplay or not is debatable, but it's going to be fun. Thank you all. I'll see you next time for Retro React. This is Heavy Rain signing off. Peace out, everybody.